And then I said to them, if you don't rewind this tape right now, I'm gonna...
Welcome back to this, the final episode of season 3. Yeah? Season 3?
Yeah.
Wait, rewind the tape. Our 2022 year in review. Sorry, that sounded really weird. It's usually 2022, isn't it? Not 2022. And
Honey,
the reason, if you think I sound somber when I'm delivering that intro, it's because 2022 was a shitty year. Did we think that the years could get worse after 2020 and 2021? We didn't, but it did. Is that fair to say? Was it a bad year? Honestly, I can't even remember.
Okay, there were moments, at least this year had
there were
nights when...
Oh my God, no, but that we also need to talk about. Just as a brief aside, did you see...
autoimmune disease? It's not an autoimmune.
Oh gosh, no, not that. No,
Celine, I can't believe that's not on the list.
Rolling Stone have left...
No.
We're not doing it?
No. Every time... Sorry. I have to put my foot down on this one. This isn't aimed at Natalie. This isn't aimed at all of you raggedy bitches all over the world. Every time that publication puts together a list, everyone rips their hair out, rips their pubic hair out, vomits everywhere, and starts screaming every single time. When are you going to grow up and stop being so reactionary? Yes, your favourite singer isn't on the list. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo.
Celine.
Jesus. The thing is, I also was upset with the things that people were saying. No, see, Natalie, you're getting me sucked in.
Sorry.
You're getting me sucked in. I saw it, I nodded, I saw the reaction, I thought, grow up, I moved on, and now you're sucking me back in. Because I just feel like as long as there are 10 incredible vocalists on the list, why do you care?
Like, you can't put...
I only saw top 10.
No, they missed her off the whole list. No, that's...
Oh, damn, and she's got a disease.
That's the thing people have an issue with, I think. I mean, I'm sure there are going to be people, if she was on the list but not in the top 10, people would gripe about that. But to not...
That's what I saw. That's what I saw.
What?
I saw people going off about Celine Dion not being in the top 10.
No, she wasn't on the list at all. So
that's actually... I'm starting to feel like they do it on purpose. I'm not being funny. Because every list, like the Rolling Stones do something that's just so, like, it provokes people to anger.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm starting to feel like a few of these things are meant to be provocative. Because it's just like and I'm sorry, but every time it's a list. Oh, here's our top. Remember when they did, I can't remember what they did. Was it like the top visual artist? Oh, everyone was... It's too much for me. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. It's too much. It's too much.
Do you know what? That also, well, maybe it happened just within 2022 boundaries, but that's also a this year thing. So maybe I shouldn't have started with that. Anyway.
No, because now we're on it. And it's interesting because we did miss Celine Dion off the list, but it is really, well, I don't want to say, I don't like to obviously I know people get sick and stuff, but I don't want to make it sound like really dire, but it is just genuinely really sad when like the condition she has, it's just sad. It really is sad. That was sad to hear. And I have spent many a night, especially when I was too young to be doing that. Before the wine, it was me and Celine. Okay. Honestly, I'd be like 11, 12. I think it started when I was like 10. There was a few Celine Dion songs that I'd listen to and I could, like, I'd been through it too.
My experience of Celine Dion, I think some people follow your trajectory, others follow mine, which is very much Taylor's Oldest Time. You know, I listened to that
I'm not
song
joking.
with
When you
her
said
and
Taylor,
Peebo Brown over and over again. Isn't it? Is it not?
Oh, you would know because it's your favourite song.
Yeah. Let me just fact check this real quick.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. You don't believe
Peebo Bryson, not Peebo Brown. I don't even know who, like, yeah. Beauty and the Beast, Tell Us All the Time. Those two,
that's a great
that song.
Shout out to
would
people.
listen to that with my Walkman. Actually, it was probably a Discman by that point.
Sorry. He's also on one of
over-
my other, arguably my favourite duet ever. He sings it with Roberta Flack.
What
Tonight
else does
I
he
celebrate
sing?
my love. Yeah, I don't think you'll know it by title. You'd have to
Okay.
hear it.
But do you
come
know
on.
the work of Peebo Bryson?
No, I'm just saying,
general?
I've just looked him up. I don't know, even recognise his
Exactly.
name.
I don't know this guy at all. Wouldn't
But
be able to
that-
pick him out in a lineup. But
that
here,
Roberta Flack song is... So shout out to
there
him.
you go. Where is he on the list, Rolling Stones?
Yeah, but you can't put everyone on the
I'm
list.
joking,
It's always going to
joking.
upset you. But I just feel like, considering what she's going through, that is a bit of a slap in the face. I'm sure she doesn't really care. But I only looked at the top 10 and people were insulting people in the top 10.
You could, don't insult people. Just don't defend somebody or the omission of somebody on the list by tearing other people down.
Somebody was questioning why Sam Cooke was...
No, you can't do that.
No, just genuinely, like, when I was like, you guys need to go and get a hearing test. Do you know how hard it is to sing? Like, it's not easy. I think there are so many good singers in the world that you've heard recorded that everyone thinks it's easy to sing. It's very difficult to sing. And I feel like you've got to understand that some people sing with such freedom, such effortless tone, such a wide range.
Some people aren't just singing, they're speaking to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
But the thing is, and you've also got to remember that it's personal. So that you can always have criteria for marking singers. Like you might go with like pitch. Well, even that, because when you get down to the tone or the timbre of the voice, that's also a little bit, what's the word when something is up to the person? Yes, I was going to say suspective
or objective. Now I can't remember.
Subjective.
Yeah,
it's incredibly subjective.
Yeah,
but and if you're wondering why Celine Dion isn't, if you're Caucasian and you're upset about Celine Dion, that is really a white people's issue. And I'm sorry, look at what I'll stand on this pulpit, because I remember I've brought up Celine Dion before to Caucasians who love music, and they get irritated. They don't even want to hear her name. Honestly.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
I always thought it was weird. Like, fair enough, it's not to your taste. Like, it's that there's certain things like Meatloaf. You might not like Meatloaf's music, but you can't say like he got the crowd going. Do you know what?
True. Celine Dion, I think this was back in, I don't know, like the 80s/early 90s, where she was having an interview with somebody and they were talking about, I think Rolling Stones had written a bad review. And she was like, well, of course, if you send like 4 fucking rocker dudes going to some female artists concert where they're going to hear ballads and romantic songs, they're not going to like it. Like, they're just going to have an issue with it.
Yeah,
she just didn't give a fuck. It was great.
It's also like it's pop music, but I feel like there's different types of pop music. I enjoy pop music, and let me tell you, I love ballads. I love ballads.
Oh yeah,
this came up for me actually even last
Daniel
week.
I don't want to. What's that song?
That is a great song, but I feel like women have such better ballads because the standard of a singer. Oh, okay. No, but it is a great song. I took it very seriously. So what do you mean? I completely understand why that would be on your top ballads list. I don't want to run away.
It can't be called that.
I don't want to run away. It doesn't even attempt to say the word.
Do you know what though? Let's not. Like you said, there are better ballads by female vocalists.
Only because the standard for maybe not now, but the standard for vocalists for women singers to be honest, gay men as well. The standard for ballads is so much higher.
Right. So should we get to 2022?
Sorry, guys.
Year in review.
You know, we love talking about middle-aged women music.
Oh my God. We were supposed to keep this speedy and brief because we got a lot to get through, guys. We got a lot to get through.
We're on the clock.
So first up, we're going to go way back to the Academy Awards, the Oscars, and we're going to talk about Can
I give some disclaimers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, shit. Let's start with disclaimers.
Disclaimers. We are going to sum up 2022 but we are not talking about every single thing that happened. We haven't really focused on necessarily like pop culture or politics or international politics. We've just picked out things that have been like become wider issues in our life. We might focus on the UK a bit more than like other countries. We're not saying that these are the most important things that have happened in 2022. We're just saying that these are things that like were forced upon us. So we have to talk about them. And a lot of these things we've never spoken about on the podcast and we've not given our opinions on. So similar to the films that we missed out, we just want to quickly chuck in our 2 cents. But
like ahead. We said, this is absolutely not an exhaustive list. There are going to be things that we've missed off here. Don't come at us. We know other big things happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, back to the slap.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk about the slap.
I think it's so funny that we've never spoken about the slap. Do you know, me and Natalie, and listeners, me and Natalie intentionally did not speak about the slap because we were so sick and effing tired of people talking about it. It was, for me, it was just too much. It was too much.
Instantaneous.
People being hysterical, like embarrassingly hysterical.
Just in case anybody doesn't know what the slap was, do you want to give a recap?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
In your own words, Ruth. Go.
I don't know. My own words. I don't know whose words these are. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars this year. I think it was in March.
Feb. I don't know. Whenever the Oscars is.
Pardon?
I think it was in February, but it's whenever the Oscars are. I don't know. The time is not relevant.
First fact check, first incident in. After he made a G.I. Jane joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, who suffers from alopecia. The jury's out if Chris Rock knew that. But to be honest, the whole thing it became a completely not about the joke. It just became of the act of Will Smith standing up, slapping him, saying, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth, and then everyone just being shocked and nobody saying anything. And when I tell you by the next day, within 24 hours, people had, this is, for as far as I'm concerned, the only other thing that happened this year that people had close to as strong a reaction from my perspective of the media I consume was the Russian invasion of Ukraine and maybe the Queen dying, which should just show you how
disproportionate.
I understand people were shocked, but calm down. It was not as serious as people make it out to be. Oh my God.
Firstly, my apologies, Ruth, you were correct. It was in March, the 28th, to be precise. And for anybody listening in the US, what you've got to understand is, for us, because of the time difference, the Academy Awards are on like early hours of the morning for us. So unless you're waking up watching it live, which some people do, or you're just generally up anyway, you're waking up to an absolute barrage. Ruth probably saw it in real time happening.
I woke really up and honest?
It was like, fuck me.
I remember that night because I couldn't sleep. I saw it, and I'm not gonna lie. I called my brother.
Did you see it happening live?
On Twitter. I don't watch. I can't remember the last award show I watched was the time I watched the BAFTAs with my mum and my cousin. They were great. I recommend them. But yeah, this is honestly, obviously, I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything crazy, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to lie. When I saw it, my genuine reaction was, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was laughing hysterically because it was so shocking.
Yeah.
I found it so funny. I thought people would be like, oh, like slap on the wrist. That wasn't nice. That wasn't good. I thought he'd apologize. I thought maybe Chris Rock would be upset because obviously somebody slapping you isn't nice. It's kind of nasty, but not. And when I say kind of, I mean like in a very the way I react when my little brothers slap each other. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, don't be mean, but I know it's not. It's not that deep, but I'm not going to lie. I laughed that night. I woke up again and laughed. I woke up in the morning. I was like, did that really happen? And I was laughing. And then I was like, oh, no one's finding this funny. That's why I didn't say anything, because I just thought, well, I'm just going to look like an arse.
And after almost a year to reflect on it, we're fine with that.
Listen, the truth is the truth. You guys know what it was a little funny to me. A little. I'm lying. It was. That thing was funny. Because it was so. Oh, okay.
Sorry, Ruth is just having a little giggle attack.
I know there was so much discourse, like so much serious discourse.
Very serious.
But at its heart, at its absolute heart, it was kind of funny. Sorry.
And
somebody, shout out to whoever it was who was the clearest tweet where I was like, I agree. So I think it was Zach Fox, the comedian. I don't know who it was, but he said, well, they said, I'm not sure if it was him. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock is objectively funny. And I was like,
thank you.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's objectively funny.
It's literally slapstick.
But the only reason I felt bad for Chris Rock is because, and I know this isn't why he said it, but and I'm sure I've talked about it here, he has talked about, I don't want to add to the hysteria, but he has talked about how he went to see, after years of like confusion in communication with other people, he went to see like 2, I think it was psychiatrists, who basically told him he has, I don't know, he's neurodivergent, so he doesn't always
read the room.
Or understand other people's reactions to him. Like, it's genuinely confusing.
Yeah.
So when you do see his reaction, it is like, and I'm like, oh my, and I do relate. I'm not as far as I know, I'm not neurodivergent, but I'm not gonna, like, this year more than any, I have struggled in like conversations. So I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, what is everybody? I don't get what you lot are on about. But that's the only thing I felt bad about, because I just felt like this year has been relentless. Every year is relentless for the comedy relies so heavily on let's make fun of Black women. So it's just like, kind of glad somebody got slapped, but not saying it should have been like that. I'm not condoning violence. And I also didn't consider it like
violent.
No, it was by definition it was violent, but I didn't consider it. It wasn't GBH, was it?
No,
wasn't.
No.
That's to people outside the UK. That's gross bodily harm.
Grievous?
It was a minor. Grievous. What did I say?
I thought it was grievous. Gross.
What did I say?
Gross. Bodily harm.
Nasty. Okay. Okay. Now I want to hear your thoughts, because I've told you my juvenile take. I'm so much sure I need to evolve.
I don't really have any thoughts on it.
I think there's nothing to say.
Like, everything has been said from every different angle, and it's been overanalyzed. And I guess I feel for Jada in the situation.
Always feel for Jada. People are so horrible to her.
Yeah, blown up something like, not that it should have just been left alone, but it's taken something that could have actually started a dialogue about that, and maybe not always like making a Black woman the punchline of your joke, and, you know, oh wow, there was a slap, and now let's discuss whether it should or shouldn't have happened.
And also it was blown out of proportion because it was a Black man who did it, regardless of the fact that it was another Black man that he slapped. I'm not saying that makes it, but it would have been, what? Imagine if he slapped a white man. Jesus.
Oh, he wouldn't. I don't think he would.
You don't
know? He was very angry.
I think he might have done.
Yeah.
I think he would have, because because they have a history. Chris Rock has said stuff about her before. It's like, I feel like if it was somebody else always making jokes, I don't think he would have cared what race they were. I think he would have slapped them, because it wasn't like he thought about it. It wasn't like thought through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he was thinking about the power politics of him.
True, but he also had ample time to get onto the stage. But then I guess when you're seeing red, you're not thinking about.
Yeah.
It's not like he was they were right next to each other. So you have that impulse reaction and you do something before you actually properly think about it. There were some moments before getting up onto like he physically got out of his chair, walked across to the stage, got on the stage, and maybe he just thought, well, I'll lose face now if I don't do something.
No, he made a decision.
Yeah. So
but you can tell he's been going through it since. But yeah, it's just like these people that
it's a bit punitive to ban him from any Academy Award events for 10 years.
Yes, he was banned for 10 years, but I don't care. Sorry.
I don't think ultimately I think there are a lot of people that boycott the Academy Awards because,
to be honest, it was a mess. The only reason this whole thing was a mess is because of the play of race and gender and how a black man doing something caused such a palaver when there are so many core people in the industry who are very powerful white men who do all kinds of mess. Yeah. And it's just not met. Like, I'm talking actually caused generational trauma.
Yeah. So how much did it take to take Harvey Weinstein down? Year after year, he's sitting at these award shows after doing unspeakable damage to people, to their careers, to their livelihoods, to their mental health, to their physical health. And Will Smith does one thing and he gets banned for 10 years. Like, come on, guys, this is dumb.
It does feel like that. And I feel like, but the thing is, if we lived in like a society that was genuinely like where institutions took themselves seriously and were very responsible and believed in harm reduction, they'd have much more transparency. Do you know what I mean? It would just, everything would be treated with so much more kindness and every little thing would be taken into account. And I'm not saying that any one individual doesn't deserve protection. I'm not saying that. But the reaction to the event was completely over the top. And if you guys don't leave Jada Pinkett Smith alone, I'm going to fight you myself. Like, leave her alone.
Yeah. This is like when one guy on Hinge said to me, if racism didn't exist, I'm going to read it out. Discussions about different skin colors would simply be conversations about aesthetics. This privileging of light skin over dark lies at the very root of what we call colorism.
Oh my God,
so it's kind of like nepotism, but with skin color.
No.
This from a white man whose previous message was just learning about the differences between colorism and racism. Cool. Well, thank you for schooling me, sir. I hope you enjoy reading your yogic, religious Indian text while saying this to an actual Indian person.
Do you not think, how can you not know that's offensive?
Just like the same guy that asked me if I had an accent.
That was bad.
And claimed to have exotic credibility because he spent 2 years in Brazil. Guys, it's rough out here. Anyway, more on that later in the episode, I guess. Right. Yeah. Let's move on from the slap. And next on the list, the next and
we'll never talk about it. Yeah,
that's it. It's in the vault. The next tranche of things to discuss. It's the royal family drama. You guys knew that we could not go through an episode without just touching on the mess that is the British royal family.
It's been relentless this year, though.
I feel like more than ever, they've just been over the past couple of years, so much more in like the public eye and like pop culture. Maybe it's because the young ones are coming up through, I don't know what it is.
No, it isn't.
Was it always like this?
it was always like this. Think about this is nothing. The 90s?
True, Diana.
We were just young. We were too young. The Foyle family, they've been going through mess since
Inception.
They are the original reality TV stars. They are messy. It's like, this can't be the institution you expect me to lay down and respect. Like, please be serious.
So
can we start with my favorite story of the year?
Yes. I actually didn't know about this at all. This bypassed me in February, but go on.
This is this is one for those of African descent. Jace, I feel like every story we're talking about this year is about just misinformation. It's just, and the media is everything at the core of all these things. A lot of them, not all of them. It's just the media being a mess.
Totally.
Jason Lee, who owns Hollywood Unlocked, right? The blog Hollywood Unlocked. It's a celebrity gossip blog that primarily focuses on, I want to say African Americans, but anybody also associated with that, but it's not necessarily positive. It's like a TMZ kind of situation, like where
tattle.
Yeah, ultimately you are causing harm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people say, oh, it's publicity, it's this, it's that. You are causing harm. Well, they announce, and that's not me being shady. I'm just saying objectively, because we are also talking about other people's business right now. Jason Lee incorrectly announced that the Queen of England had died in February 2022. And this was the headline. Sources close to the Royal Kingdom notified us exclusively.
Royal Kingdom.
That was the first red flag.
In itself. And then they said... Sorry, what is this? Fucking Pride Rock.
Why this was such... notified us exclusively. That's why would they notify Hollywood Unlocked?
Yeah, I think with their ties to other tabloids, they would get sued if Hollywood Unlocked got the scoop.
Oh my God, notified us exclusively that Queen Elizabeth has passed away, and they were dead serious, to the point when everyone was like, are you like crazy? Jason Lee himself stepped out and said, I stand by my sources. Stop pretending you have sources.
And are you also not embarrassed? Or do you genuinely, did you think he must have thought it was true? Otherwise, you wouldn't report that.
No, 100%. But it's also like, it just shows like, I feel like there's a certain, obviously, there are certain, like, the worst tabloid to me is the Daily Mail, but even the Daily Mail can get sued for a lot of money. The problem with blogs is it seems so frivolous that they almost have no accountability, but they also have large audiences.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's like, you can't, at a certain point, blogs are going to have to be held accountable, even though Cardi B did successfully sue a blogger for an obscene amount of money, for a normal person, I mean. I believe her name's Tasha K, because she was on a rampage. She was saying all sorts of things about her, but were based on nothing.
At least we give disclaimers. We'll always say, we don't know this person, we don't...
But I feel like there's this thing where, obviously, to a certain extent, all forms of podcasting can be extremely irresponsible.
Yes.
Even for
we try not to be. But...
Yeah, that's why we try not to talk about celebrity gossip, period, and gossip in general, because I don't think we really talk about it. Because I don't think we do. The only things we'll say is, like, if we're watching something and we know an actor's, like, on record said something or done something, we might bring it up. But the problem with gossip is, as much as it might be fun, you don't know if it's true, and then spreading it can be really
harmful to
Yeah.
the parties involved, for sure.
Not even just the parties involved. I feel like a lot of gossip, and we'll get to this later with this brilliant term that I've been everyone is like, that's an old term. Right-wing pipeline.
Oh, I've not heard that.
Honestly, some of these TikTokers are effing geniuses, the way they break things down. But I was like, oh my God, they're right. Like the way that a lot of because we know that about the tabloids. We've always said the tabloids are just right-wing. It's the way, but a lot of these blogs are like the way they present things, because they're on the surface harmless. Sometimes they're just talking about fun things. Like, do you know what I mean? They're posting funny clips. So it's like mostly just like funny stuff.
Fluff.
And it's like, and it's like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But then they'll take a certain tone with issues, like they'll be sexist, misogynistic, colorist, and it's just like they're slowly edging their audience in the wrong direction. But anyway, sorry, but he eventually apologized. And then
when the Queen was like, "I'm not a dead bitch,"
Buckingham Palace had to put out a statement. That's when I was like, oh, these bloggers are going to you are going to. And to tell you how far they go, the blogger who was sued by Cardi B after the defamation suit carried on speaking. She stopped now, but carried on speaking. I was like, you are going to end up destitute. It's not worth it.
Do you have the cash for this?
And there's no way she can afford that suit. There is no way. So everyone, be responsible with your words and your platforms.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay. What have we got next on the list? Oh, the Royal Tour. The Royal Tour of the Caribbean. This was Kate and Will's, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like, who? Why did yes, it was them.
Kate and Will's doing their royal duties for the Royal Kingdom.
Oh, God.
And was it was just in the Caribbean, or was it a world tour?
No, they did. As far as I know, I don't really pay attention to them. The only reason that this came up is because they were really pushing it. And I felt like I'm sorry, but I couldn't help but feel it was a convenient thing that they were pushing it, because it was like, hey, I know you don't like us right now because of the whole Meghan Markle thing, but we're coming to the island.
Yes. Yeah,
like, okay.
I know. Why don't we improve our PR by heading to the colonies?
It's literally like a skit. It's like, why would you put them up on the chopping block like sacrificial lambs? It's like, I feel like the royal family have always like rolled out the prince and princess, like the second in line, as like the it couple, but it's like they're
why this isn't like a privilege for us. Like, what? We don't
Everyone's
care.
favorite
Like,
couple.
I know what's going to make this
who?
better. Let's send Kate and Wills. But good on Barbados for being like, you know what? You can keep
It was Jamaica
who
it was actually Jamaica who, that's when it was for me. They were in Jamaica, and it was like, everyone was like, we don't want you here. Even Beanie Man did an interview saying that he even said it'd be one thing if Meghan was here, but it's like, guys, you don't understand. You're not a symbol of Commonwealth. You're a symbol of oppression. Like, people don't want to be reminded that they were colonized. People don't want to be reminded of the history of slavery, the genocide that took place there with indigenous people. No, who wants to think about that right now? We're having a hard time.
Yeah, leave us alone. Please.
Apologize. It should have been an apology tour, but was it? No, they were just.
No, it's like a celebration. Let's learn about your culture. Let me bang some drums. Is there some traditional clothing I can wear?
Oh my God.
Sorry, just have to wear, like, be responsible. Don't be mean about people.
No, we're not being, that's the thing. We're not being mean about people. We're being mean about a ridiculous institution that refuses to take it. Stop trying to rebrand slavery, please.
Yeah.
Oh, Done. Anyway. Yeah, and
like
yeah.
why are you fucking going to these countries where they're like, I just also have to shout out the president of Barbados, who I fucking love, Mia Motley, because she is brilliant. She doesn't take prisoners. She will take people down. If you guys haven't watched any of her like keynote speeches from the COP summits, you have to, because she is fucking brilliant. Why are Kate and Wills going to these places? Like, they're like, our islands are literally underwater. They're probably half the size that they once were because because of rising sea levels, because like countries like you aren't taking fucking responsibility.
Yeah.
And you think going on a royal tour in a private jet is going to help this? Fuck right off.
Yeah.
Whew.
It is ridiculous. Like, I feel like you'll always see a contrast between these headlines and what, if you think about personally what you've gone through this year and what the media or whatever institution is trying to shove down your throat, it's like, not now.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, Barbados did renounce the Queen as head of state, which I thought was an amazing thing. It's crazy that she still is, or sorry, was. And they've also set up a national task force for reparations. So for all the families who have generational wealth, who have benefited from the slavery the enslavement of African people that took place in Barbados, they're coming for your coins. And well, they're coming for their coins. They're coming for the back payment of the labour that you didn't pay them for. And also for compensation for the disgusting things that happen. One little tidbit that is pop culture, because I didn't know this until today. So I have a friend who I shall not name in case she doesn't like it, who cannot stand Benedict Cumberbatch because of his family ties to how they made their money, basically. You know, anybody with really old money in England, it's not looking good, is it? But
and you can probably tell by the sound of their names. Cumberbatch, come on. Benedict, come on.
It's a shame, because Benedict.
Look, I'm not saying all Benedicts from that kind of level of genocidal landed gentry, but Benedict Cumberbatch, you put those names together, it does definitely sound like old England.
But that was a rumor. The actual task force confirmed that was a rumor, because there was a rumor that they were specifically looking to get reparations specifically from Benedict Cumberbatch, and they were like,
we never said that.
No. Oh, I'd have been shaking.
I'm sorry, Benedict, for everything I just said. Redact.
But it kind of, I don't know how his family made their money, so look into yourselves, guys. But if you've heard that, that's not necessarily true, but I'm not here to say that. I'm only saying that because that made me laugh. Guys, missing the point. Yeah. And then obviously the biggest thing that happened in the royal family this year was the Queen actually passed away on the 8th of September. So we are here to say, where were you, Natalie, when the Queen passed away?
I was in Portugal.
Okay. International, babe.
I was on a port. I was like at a Fado concert, drinking some port in a port like distillery place.
Of course, you were drinking port in Porto.
Yeah,
that's
of course,
so you.
Absolutely.
That is so you.
You've got to. It'd be rude not to.
Textbook.
Oh my God, so delicious. But yeah, it was a really very strange sensation because we couldn't, like, Jenny and I kind of like, we got the notification because we knew earlier in the day that she was unwell. So I was kind of like looking at the live updates on BBC, like refreshing the page, like what's going on. And then my mum actually messaged the group chat to just be like, the Queen's died. So then I had to do a quick fact check, refresh the BBC page to confirm that this wasn't a Jason Lee. Jason Lee? And it was true. Yes, the Queen had died. But we couldn't, because we were in a constant's a bit of a strong word, but we were in a performance that was happening. I was just like looking at Jenny and we were both like, this is so weird. Like, we can't speak about it. Nobody else knows. And whatever your feelings are about the Queen, the royal family, it's a pretty momentous occasion for people that have grown up in this country, well, for people all around the world. So hearing it for the first time, but not actually being able to be like, what the fuck? It was quite strange.
That I see what you mean. And it is good, but whether it provoked, because obviously it did provoke very strong feelings, whether it provokes not good. Yeah, got good positive feelings within your body or like bad, like negative response in your body, because it's triggering either way.
Yeah. Just felt a bit weird to not be in the country, but then maybe actually being in the country was.
I am so glad I missed that. Oh my gosh.
Where were you?
I was in Nigeria, but I was actually there so I went for my grandma's funeral, and then I ended up staying for a month. Not ended up, I planned to stay. I'm not that spontaneous. I wish I was. I was staying there for a month, but obviously with the death of my own grandma and like burying her, and I don't know if this is normal, but for me that's the first time I've ever seen someone's dead body, and it was my grandma, and it was very, very surreal. I don't know, I felt like I was in my own like mourning bubble, even though I wasn't, because I was enjoying myself in Nigeria, but like, yeah, it was just, I'm like, oh, so it's difficult to, I don't know, I feel like not always, obviously death to anyone, someone's passing can mean so much to you, but that really felt like their family's like thing. Do you know what I mean? So everyone was like bringing it to me. I was like, what's this got to do? Because obviously I'm British. People are like, oh my God. So that's their talking point.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't feel that. I'm not saying like, I just don't feel like that really personal affinity. But I guess if you're in another country and you have a British accent, then that's what people think. But the craziest part for me was when we went to get, because obviously it brings up a lot in terms of conversation about colonization. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially, I was in Nigeria, and I'm not gonna lie to you, there's some stuff going on in Nigeria at the moment. Even like you see talk about cost of living crisis. It's so sad. Like even things like buildings not being maintained. So the last time I'm there, you look at the same building and it hasn't been maintained. It's just, it will anger you, and it's like there is extreme wealth there as well, and this gap between the rich and the poor. Like I don't really believe in monarchy. I don't believe in monarchy. I'm a socialist. I don't know. I just feel like a lot, like anything to do with like this, like idea of like an elitist group living a different. Like I'm just not involved personally, and I just always feel like, when you're like seeing with your eyes the effects that it's not about the Queen personally, this institution has had literally in front of you. It's like, how am I supposed to like, and then I told you about the best pedicure I've ever had in my life. No, they had the news cranked up.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like as much as you'll see, couldn't escape it. I'm like, I'm trying to get a pedicure, please. and then it's the propaganda on the BBC, because they're trying to sell you Prince Charles at the time. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard sell.
It's a real hard sell, guys. Jesus.
You guys you've never spoken about him like this before. Like, stop. They're trying to zhuzh it up. Like, stop trying to sell him to me. I'm trying to get a pedicure. It's just, and then you just realize it's as an institution, I believe it has to go. So it's just like,
also just the hysteria like this. It really showed this nation and people from all over the world our love of a goddamn queue. That to me was just bonkers, chocolate.
No, but
bonkers.
People, I think you can't underestimate how much people, I'm not joking, people
adored
the Queen.
Adored her
to this day. I know she's passed, but to this day,
like, I suppose I just never thought about people queuing for like 24 hours in the cold.
I mean, they do it for trainers, so.
But the way that they, but not to that scale.
No.
Like you maybe like 100, 200, 500 people. This is like thousands, tens of thousands even, maybe. Can we get a fact check on how many people queued? If we had a producer, that's what we would do.
Can I say one shady thing?
Yes.
Guys, I admit this is shady. That's my disclaimer. Okay. You already know what it is. David Beckham.
Oh no, I'm sure we've spoken about this. Ridiculous.
Okay, this is my honest opinion. And the reason I didn't like, everyone was getting so excited about Beck's king. David Beckham, God bless him. He was a good footballer. Gave me some moments. Attractive man. I don't know why I'm saying this. That man was queuing for his knighthood. You cannot tell me he wasn't. Yeah. And if Charlesy baby has any sense, he'll give it to him because people love Bex.
I thought that maybe he would have a book or a fragrance out at Christmas that he was wanting to get some sales on.
No, it's his knighthood. He is gasping for that knighthood. Just give it to him. Look what you've got that man to do. And
he's out here in his flap cap, three-piece tweed suit.
Oh my
black
God.
coat. Come on.
He said to his stylist, I need 100% English. And they said, we got you.
Yeah. Savile Row, eat your heart out. King's Tailor. What was I going to say? But the thing with the queue is the resources that were available in this queue just again show you how we're diverting money and where we can suddenly find money for people that want to queue, but we can't find it for people that are literally homeless. Come on. This is just ridiculous.
Now my cousin works with homeless people. Homelessness isn't the main issue with people who are chronically homeless. Like, it's also like we don't have any mental health support, and housing is unaffordable. Housing is unaffordable. I should bloody lol. Yeah, so that's us on the Queen's passing. I think we were tasteful. I think we kept it cute.
Sure.
We'll never speak about that again.
We won't. There's just one thing about King Charles again, just can't.
Oh no, we're slagging him off tonight.
He cannot function. You guys must have seen how annoyed he would get on more than one occasion with a pen, and then the way that he would treat the people, his aides coming to give him pen. It was their fault that he simply can't use basic writing implements that we learn how to use when we're children.
I do think that he is marketed as someone who has he doesn't believe in the first, he thinks all the ceremony is ridiculous. He wants to modernize the monarchy, but he doesn't understand that, yes, it is ridiculous. It's not the pen, mate.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah, it's not this pomp and circumstance. You can't just get rid of the pomp and circumstance, but keep yourself. What are we paying for?
Yes, I think this is all ridiculous, but I do believe that I was born.
I should be here. I just don't want to do all of this ceremony because it's actually quite boring and tiresome. I'd rather just watch Netflix.
Let's make it cool and casual. Honestly, same.
Idiot. Anyway.
But yeah.
Should we quickly, very briefly, that our final thing is part of the royal family drams.
Oh, we can't not mention that he was egged twice in a month.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
It's egged.
Sorry, let me not say anything for fear of treason. We'll state the facts.
I'm not saying, guys, please, I'm begging, never egg me. I'll take it so badly. But I was thinking that with Boris Johnson. I was like, how come nobody's throwing a bag of flour over him? England used to love a bag of flour with milk in. Do you know what I mean? These ridiculous things. So when King Charles got eggs, I was like, restore the thing. Egging the king. That is just... Okay. Oh God. And one of them shouted, the 23-year-old man shouted, this country was built on the blood of slaves. I bet you've matched with him on his.
And I bet he's actually
that's not funny.
Not racist. Sorry, I bet he's just not racist, but he does have some things to tell you.
Spending that money. But good on him because, he's using his privilege for good. Okay.
To educate people
Camilla?
like us. Okay, yeah, Camilla PB. Sorry.
PB.
Parker Bowles? PB. Okay, well, she's Camilla Windsor now. Sorry. Huh?
She's just Camilla, man. You know who we mean.
What other Camilla would
She's
there
got
be?
to be the most famous Camilla that ever lived.
Not Camilla
I don't know
Cabello.
any other Camillas. I don't know anyone else called Camilla. Oh, yeah. No, she's probably more famous now.
But it's a different pronunciation, so I suppose.
Is it Camilla? How does she pronounce her name?
Camilla.
Oh, it's Camilla.
It's like, yeah.
Oh my God, I never knew that.
Oh, where's she from? She's from...
They both have shady histories. Anyway, let's not get into what she used to do in her spare time.
So Camilla threw a party.
Camille's party.
Balls.
Camilla.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so this was Charles is out there.
They said she'd never be queen.
Look at her now. Queen consort, bitches.
What does that even mean?
That is when you're not the queen because you're not married. You married into the family. You're not queen by blood.
Oh, I thought as much.
Queen or king by dick or pussy. Sorry.
Stop implying that she slept her way to the top.
I'm not.
She earned her place as monarch of this country, and so did he.
Just like Prince Philip
he was on that list.
But like Prince Philip was king consort.
Do you know what? I never heard that title. I just knew that he wasn't really the king. That's what they called him. But he was never
not really the king.
He was never called king. He was just Prince Philip. But no one would say Princess Camilla.
Yeah, but that's also probably because of like ageism. They're going to be like, she can't be a princess. Do you know what I mean? There's different, you can't ignore the gender in this.
I know, but this is like one occasion where I'm sorry, but I am not rallying to your side.
Anyway, Camilla, the queen
being
consort.
discriminated against. It's like also like the slut shaming. Like this is one instance where I'm like, honey, you can have it. I have no horse in this race. Okay.
She threw a pretty star-studded party. I guess this is around the time that well, I suppose he still was Prince Charles at the time, and kind of still is. He's not been coronated yet.
Okay, we are definitely talking about two different things.
No, what? She threw a party.
Okay, you say what you're talking about.
Well, just that she threw a party, and it was around the time that, King Prince Charles is gearing up for taking over, blah 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 blah, doing his fumbling with the pen. So Camilla throws a party. Okay. I'm obviously getting the timing of this all wrong, but it's certainly after the Queen's death.
I haven't heard this. Okay, I haven't heard this.
And also, I think that I feel like it's coming out at a similar time to, there's a lot of speculation about what's going on with Meghan and Harry. Harry's got a new book coming out. They've got a Netflix show coming out. The media's being fucking awful about Meghan Markle as per, in addition to everybody's, the two men that we all hate. Not actually, a lot of you love them, and I don't know why.
No, that's not what happened.
Okay, go for it.
Sorry.
You did the research, I'm
sorry. I thought it was a different party because they have loads of parties. Guys, I know you think...
Okay, yeah, go. Well,
you would think because we live in England.
Say all the parties as...
No, but I feel like these two things are linked. But just to explain to people outside of England, we honestly don't know what the royals do. I can't lie to you. It only gets to us when it's bad, so...
And we don't... I don't follow any of this stuff in the tabloids. I get it fifth hand on Instagram, maybe Facebook.
I feel like Camilla had two back-to-back, bad situations.
Yeah.
Both involving Black women. The first one was what I'm calling the Sister Space incident. So to people who don't know, Yeah, you can just put gay on the end of anything, but that
You
sounds quite
can.
futuristic.
Yeah.
Sister Space is a charity that specifically caters to Black women victims of domestic violence, and their whole ethos is about how Black women victims are often missed because of the way the bruising doesn't show up as much on the skin if you don't know what you're looking for. It's just like, if you're not, like with all social services, you have to be trained to
the training is not out there. They don't have any of this kind of stuff at medical school, because all of the text, all of the visuals on rashes, all of the descriptions are based on white skin.
Yeah. So it's just like Black women get me. And the reason I heard of Sister Space is because they've campaigned for a long time for something called Valerie's Law. I'm not going to get into that, but we will put a link in the bio in case you want to know more about it, because you might want to rally behind it or just learn. But so Ngozi Fulani said she felt interrogated by Lady Susan Hussey, which is a hilarious
I mean, that's
at Buckingham Palace. Yeah,
she's one of the founders, right?
Yes, she is one of the founders of Sister Space. Yeah. And Lady S was fired as a lady of waiting because she kept asking her, but where are you really from? 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 And it's just like, honey, let it go.
Yeah.
However, that was just one strike. The reason that was so bad is because after the story broke, and the Palace of Power statement saying, oh, we don't condone racism of any kind, blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, obviously, this is like your family friend. This is like Prince William's godmother.
And
like,
this is after the last year, the year before, the interview that Meghan and Harry did with Oprah, where, they're talking about people within the royal family that are, part of the institution that have been directly racist and foul to Meghan. So I presume, I'm sure Lady Hussey is one of them.
I honestly feel like they're all like this. I bet she's just light work compared to that's just how they are. Like, it's how anybody in England who is of that life is. They're all like that. No, and that's not a generalization. And then the second, which this one is a bit more wild. So this is what Natalie was referring to. So after Meghan and Harry, I'm sure you guys know, they were releasing I think 6-part documentary on Netflix. I haven't seen it, but I don't think that's the point. So obviously that stirred up a lot of Meghan hate again. A lot of Meghan hate.
God, that woman just have to brace herself anytime.
I still don't think she really, I don't think she can ever really comprehend what's coming for her, because I feel like some of the things that happen are so shocking. And it's not just about her, it's about, this is the thing, they always say, oh, it's sexism. It's not sexism, it's racism. It irritates me when people are constantly talking about sexism. I'm like, what are you talking about?
There's an intersectionality here, of course, but the root of the main issue is the fact that she's Black. It's not the fact that she's a woman, because you don't come after Kate like this.
And I know she identifies as biracial Black and stuff, and I get that, but it's just the fact that we've talked about this before, but that's why we haven't even been discussing it, because we've said how we feel about it, and it's just keeps coming up and getting worse. But what's her face? Camilla had a party the day after. The day after the party, Netflix released the final 3 episodes of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's tell-all documentary, blah, 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 blah. But so at that party, she invited Piers Morgan, who has been harassing her online, and Jeremy Clarkson, who I personally can't stand, but I didn't even know he had an issue with her because I don't follow him. I don't follow anything he does.
Same.
And the next day, so to invite those 2 people to your daughter, even if it's your stepdaughter-in-law, who are talking about your stepdaughter-in-law, that's a bit so fucking weird.
What Piers Morgan does and what this thing that Jeremy Clarkson does, this should be a criminal offence.
It's harassment. Yeah. And it's inciting.
Well, not that it should. It is a criminal offence, but they somehow get away with it.
No, it is. It's when someone's a public figure and you're technically talking about a public issue, it's harder to protect, if that makes sense. But in fact, that's not true. It's hard for anybody. because there's loads of people who are normal people who've had their lives ruined. I do think that people do too much. Even when someone's done something bad, I think people do too much.
Yeah,
like you shouldn't be trying to drive somebody to like suicide. Sorry.
Anyway, Jeremy Clarkson. So
the next day after this party, that's when the article was published in the Sun. And should I read the quote? Because it is bad. I don't know if you should read it. Okay. So he said, Meghan, though, is a different story. I hate her, not like I hate Nicola Sturgeon or Rose West.
Rose West, guys, if you don't know, was a fucking murderer. She abused and murdered children, many children with her husband. Like, she's evil. They're not on the same level as.
And how can you put Nicola Sturgeon next to her?
Come on, Sturgeon.
I like Nicola Sturgeon.
Me too.
What is it?
No, it's written down.
I thought you said I said it wrong, because you know I say everyone's name wrong for years.
No, Sturgeon, you said it correctly. I said it incorrectly.
I cannot pronounce the name. Sorry to have a laughing break in between this. Yeah. I hate her on a cellular level. This is like something you should be saying to a therapist, not in an article.
If you have this kind of reaction about somebody, you need to question why.
Somebody who's literally done nothing to you. He says, this is when I just think this gets so creepy. At night, I'm unable to sleep as I lie there grinding my teeth and dreaming is also of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her.
Why does she have to be naked? Hells?
Why would she dream about her being
It's the sexualized violence is
so
disgusting.
Weird.
And the fact that you put that in black and white and put it in print,
that's
and
in
nobody,
print.
it's got to. This is not online. The Sun printed this. What the hell? This isn't Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's actually hate speech to me. That's disgusting.
It is. Like, how can you have that kind of reaction, think that it's acceptable?
That's the kind of reaction you should be happen to someone who's like caused mass harm, like genocide or something. Even
what you're doing then is you're legitimizing people then abusing her.
And the fact that the day before he was at the royal family, I'm sorry, abolish the monarchy. Get rid of them. I'm done.
I guess, do we know if there's been any comment from the royal family about this?
Not that I know of. All I know is that his own daughter came out and dragged him.
And said, exactly. She was like, I do not hold by any of these beliefs. She herself has been the victim of cyberbullying, I believe.
I didn't know that. I don't know her.
No, me neither. But I think...
I don't think this is cyberbullying, love. No shade. This is not
but to the point where it's
cyberbullying.
kind of like Jeremy Clarkson, your own daughter has been subject to bullying, and you must have seen the effect of her, but you just don't see Meghan as an actual human being.
Yeah,
disgusting. Actually, and the Sun they should be ashamed of themselves. I know they never will be, but whatever.
The Sun has been in so many scandals, honestly.
Also, then he goes to say, I can't see the rest of the quote, but everyone who's my age thinks the same way. Yeah, it's not fucking normal, mate. But what makes me despair is that younger people, especially girls, don't know what else it says, but it's just that obviously I know it's going to say something absolutely ridiculous.
Jeremy Clarkson doesn't strike me as someone who knows more than 5 people.
You don't speak for young women, okay, Jeremy?
Or
don't
anybody.
Presume to, go away.
Go away.
And there concludes our roundup of Royal Family news.
And guys, I'm so sorry about that. Hopefully next time we're doing that. Oh my gosh. It's because there was so much to say, because it's all basically, they're just continuing their reign of terror.
Yeah. Jeez. We do have a lot to get through, so some of these are going to be snappy. From the Royal Family, let's move to politics, predominantly UK politics. Domestic politics, should we say? Yeah, I think it's all domestic. Well, actually, there's a bit of international thrown in there, but that's just when one MP had a little holiday. Anyway, so when did it start? This, if we just What? Sorry, let me use my words.
Yeah.
The 3 PMs in, we're calling it 3 PMs in 3 months, but I don't think that those
No,
timelines
it's right. I
track.
checked.
Is it right? Yes.
It's right.
Amazing.
You're right.
So after, how many years did he have? BJ?
That's one thing I didn't check. Let me check now.
So Boris Johnson finally, after many, many incidents and mishaps, finally realizes that he has to step down and resign. Like, what was it that actually made him resign, though?
It was that night of like when he got stabbed in the back when everyone started resigning.
Oh,
yeah. That was so fun. I'm sure we talked about that. You were loving that.
Yeah,
you
was.
Yeah.
After everything that man
like, it's
has
happening.
Done. Yeah. Well, it was because he was holding on for so long. Everybody turned their backs on him. Rishi, gone. Sorry, mate, jumping off this ship.
I'm sorry, but when he resigned, that was
a decisive blow.
Yeah, I felt like that was when it was like, okay, we're done now.
He had to hold his hands up and say, I've lost this. So Boris resigns. Yeah. Then we have we don't have an election for who becomes the Prime Minister. The Tory party has an election for who gets to be the Prime Minister of England, because they just get to decide who becomes the leader of the Conservative Party. So it's not put up to a public vote or anything. Democracy who? The Tories don't know her. I don't know how close it was, but it was between Liz Truss, whose claim to fame is opening a pork farm in China, so everybody will know how I feel about that. Not favorably, obviously. Disastrous. And also who has used to work at, I can't remember which one, but she's basically ex-oil company, so is basically her pocket. Let's do a quick fact check on that. But I'm pretty sure that she used to work in at Shell or BP or something. 2 seconds. Liz Truss left her role in Shell in 2000 after 4 years in the company. So, like, she's a bad egg. She's a bad egg who doesn't care about anyone.
That's not why she's a bad egg. That is not why she's a bad egg. She's a bad egg because she has, like, I'm not saying those things aren't indicative of someone being a bad egg, but maybe because I'm Nigerian. I know there's people who work with oil who are just trying to get by. Liz Truss is a bad egg because...
But she's not some... Of course.
Her views are crazy.
That's true.
I've never heard of her, right? So I did not know her. When I heard her views, I was like, oh my God, is she a Nazi?
Voted against any kind of, I can't even say progressive policy. She's like it's just like she's the anti-progress. She's perfectly put. She's anti-progress, but like violently, like it's a lot. So you're like, when I was hearing it, I was like, no, this can't be right. This woman sounds insane. I also didn't think she stood a chance. So I was just like, oh God, she sounds nuts. No, of course we didn't, because I genuinely didn't thought, well, I guess a woman's going to not going to stand a chance. But I just thought they'll just go with somebody who's already like doing the job, if that makes sense. I thought they'd just true, but then if you look at it, it's like they had a white woman and an Indian man. So it was probably quite a tough call for the Conservatives. They didn't know what they were going to do.
They were like, you know what? We are more racist than we are sexist. So let's go with the Nazi.
So Liz Truss becomes the next Prime Minister. And she then entered a race with a head of lettuce to see who would last longer.
Yeah, I know we've said what we've said about the tabloids, but I've got to say that was iconic.
Sometimes you've got to hand it to them. Somebody has a brainwave.
That was brilliant.
Yeah. No surprises for guessing that the head of lettuce actually, this is a piece of fruit, a perishable item, lasts longer than Liz Truss. She had no
She
clue what she was
44
doing.
days in office.
She couldn't.
No, but she was doing everything she said she was going to do.
And then everyone's like,
Yeah, it's not. It's the thing is, people just need to let it go. This stuff is you just accept. You cannot do these things. Like whether you like it or not. If you want to have a stable country, a stable economy, you can't give tax breaks to seriously rich people. You can't just say F the poor. Like, you can't do that. People aren't gonna. It's not gonna rock. Look, you've been trying it for years, and now you're trying to get more extreme. Like. Anyway, well, each to their own. She tried it. It was that fucking
they
budget.
Proposed the mini budget. Just it was a mess.
Yeah,
made no sense.
That was bad.
It was really bad. And so finally
Didn't
we
she
got
crash the pound.
Oh my god, I forgot. The pound absolutely tanked. Interest rates shot through the roof. And the pound wasn't doing well.
Yeah, and we're still living with them. So
we're still living with that. So, yeah.
We were already poor.
It was already terrible. Trying to get a mortgage, awful. Trying to get a loan, terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
not even
bad times.
Trying to buy food.
Yeah, trying to buy food, trying to pay to heat the home.
Went crazy. Yeah. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, shout out to Liz Truss. What a twat.
Oh, God.
Also, I didn't appreciate. Everyone thought it was. She'll be fine. She'll get a great job. But everyone thought it was so funny that, when Channel 4 put that Taylor Swift song over her exit video, everyone thought that was funny. I did not find that funny. I posted it on my stories thinking everyone's going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with them? Everyone was like loving it, laughing. I was like,
no, but then what you've got to realise is that when I post, sometimes it happens to me when I post things, like when I posted that, those screenshots from the guy that, on Hinge, and sorry, some people might not think that's unethical, but he didn't have his name or his picture in it, and it was just so ridiculous. I had to do it. I had to drag him, and a lot of people just sent me like
certain stuff.
The laughing face emoji. It's just like, that's not an appropriate response to this.
Shook.
Yeah, that's not It's because it's not fun. Or I can find it funny because it's actually depressing. You can't find it funny because this is something that simply wouldn't affect you. So it's not actually you
at all.
So shut right up.
I already know. I know the demographic that we're laughing. Yeah.
Anyway, God, I forgot what we were saying. What were we talking about? Liz Truss.
Oh, the Taylor Bojo's speech because you hate.
Oh my God.
Speech.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, if we just rewind back to Bojo's resignation speech and just how much of a mess it was. Like, clearly someone's so out of touch with reality. Not just that, somebody who just doesn't even give a fuck anymore, that for completely putting this country on a disastrous path for like mishandling COVID, for having illegal parties and not following your own fucking rules, you want to then just say to the nation, them's the breaks. I did my best. I tried my hardest. Some of you don't like me, and I guess them's the breaks. I mean, that's not quite how it was, but, accept some responsibility, you twat face. Anyway, let's go to our third Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Rich.
Yes, the richest MP on the planet.
Honestly, if you're listening to this, can I have some money? Need it, want it. Have you seen that clip of him asking a homeless person if they would want to work in finance?
Why? Because he subscribes to the view that some people just need to get up off their ass and work.
Yeah, that's been a huge theme of the year.
Yeah.
Every year. Capitalism, relentless.
I'm sorry, what job in finance is this, Rishi?
He was just talking about he was talking about how most of the finance jobs are actually, I think he was in the north at the time. And then the guy's like, well, I'm actually homeless at the moment, so I'm really just trying to get
by.
like this man is. Do you know how But I mean, talk about out of touch. You're asking someone who hasn't got a hurt.
How did he? Wait, where did he find the person?
It was like, it looked like, because this is just a clip I've seen. I didn't get the context, but it does look as though he's handing him food. So I assumed that he was doing a PR opportunity. No, in somewhere that gives out like hot meals. Bank.
Oh yeah. Not a food. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I guess what. Maybe he just saw the guy and thought, oh, he doesn't really, quote unquote, look homeless. But I just don't think he understands what the words housing crisis means. Like, it's like, honestly, like a Victorian leader just coming out into the world.
He's like Mr. Burns. I mean, he's not like Mr. Burns at all, but
no, I
that kind of like mean. Level of like just because it also just doesn't even. It won't even touch the sides of like his perspective. It's like he'll glaze over like, oh, okay.
That's the thing. He looked a little embarrassed, but I don't think he was really. I was like, oh my God, you don't even know. Like, you would be confused and shocked if you went out into the world. And you also don't care because it's like, well, I'm here to do what I'm doing and you guys are doing what you're doing over there. What's your favourite story of the year?
Oh, my absolute fave story of the year. Rishi Sunak approving the opening of the first coal mine in 30 goddamn years. Coal mines. Guys not the UK, you might be thinking, well, maybe this is to help out the energy crisis so that people can afford to heat their homes or whatever. No, this coal is not for energy. It's to produce steel. I have reliable sources that I stand by that say the steel industry. I have no sources, but I feel like I remember reading somewhere that the steel industry don't even want this coal. They're not asking for it. They're not saying, hey, we need more fossil fuels to burn. So it's like, why are we doing this, Rishi?
The same reason all of them do things. They've made deals with their friends and they're just following through. It's got nothing. How can you ban fracking but be like, but do you know what's making a comeback? The mines.
Good old-fashioned coal. How can you not give people a choice?
We didn't even choose him.
What have we got to do with anything? That's so real. And the flip-flopping over him being like, do you know what? I'm not going to go to COP27. How can you not go to the biggest global summit on climate crisis and action? How can you just be like, oh, actually, I'm not going to go? But he had to go in the end because I think everyone was like, you are fucking going, you piece of shit.
Honestly, the corruption in the Tory party is just getting too transparent. It's like, I know you're in God knows whose pocket, but can you at least pretend you know you're a world leader? It's embarrassing. Which brings us on to the biggest embarrassment that we speak about every year. God bless. Good luck, Matt Hancock.
Oh. That man.
Yeah.
Guys,
so
Matt
despite
Hancock
being sorry.
You go.
Despite being the elected Conservative MP for West Suffolk, just in case you forgot, guys, because sometimes I forget Matt Hancock actually has a job.
I don't think that you get that much holiday pay. You can't go on any holidays after
he's always in so much mess that I forget, oh no, you have a baseline job as well. Like you have something you should be doing.
Step down as an MP, but
no. He just stepped down as the health secretary. He didn't step down.
I swear to God, this had better have been unpaid leave.
Well,
I hate to disappoint you, Natalie.
I can't say I know. That's just all I know is. Didn't he get paid? Okay, let's not. I think
he got paid about 450,000 to do I'm a Celeb.
Yeah. So that's
just ridiculous.
Then the breaks.
Them's are the fucking breaks. Yeah.
That man is, and obviously, like, it's like that episode of. Do you remember Extras when when he goes into the Big Brother house.
I don't recall that episode.
Oh, okay. I always think of that. Like, it's like these shows, it just exists for like celebrity PR redemptions. And hopefully one day I can have one when I inevitably fall from grace after my 2 minutes of fame. See you there, Matt.
But I'm just like, I'm not ready for his redemption story.
No, I don't think he should be allowed one. It's grossly irresponsible.
Yeah.
It is. Because it just doesn't, it's like, oh, he's human. That was never the issue. I know he's human. I wasn't like, oh, he's a robot. Get him hung, drawn and quartered. No, I just want him to be held responsible for his actions. To be honest, I just want to know where all that money went. Anyway, each their own. Everyone, you know, some people care about him eating bugs. Some people care about him spending their tax dollars. I say dollars because they're stronger than pounds.
Like screwing over the NHS.
Which brings us on nicely to our final point. The main thing that happened in this country this year, in politics and otherwise, is that the country fell to pieces.
Absolutely.
Cost of living crisis, increases in tax, interest rates, prices, the NHS, social services, and the nation's infrastructure in general decaying, and everyone is being on strike, including nurses and paramedics and railway workers.
And nurses going on strike is big news. Yeah. I don't think they've ever been on strike.
No.
And that's since the conception of the NHS back in the 1940s. So this is, and they've had cause really to go on strike before. Let's be fair, you know, they
for a while
are not treated very well, and
they're underpaid.
No nurse is ever going to say that I'm sure actually no worker is ever going to say that they ever want to go on strike. If you're striking, then you're in a really desperate, dire situation, and direct action seems to be the only way forward because no one's fucking listening to you. It's not something that they want or take lightly. So we are fully in support of strike action. And I know a lot of people will say, yeah, but it's inconvenient. I can't get on my trains. Well, you know.
And people are dying and the government still won't meet their demands. And I feel like people are looking at this really backwards. But to be honest, even if the nurses weren't on strike, the NHS would be on its knees because the Tories have been destroying it for 10 long years.
Dismantling it piece by piece.
This is what we get.
Yeah.
And as always, I just want to drag that bitch David Cameron. I will never forgive you.
Where are you?
You will never see heaven. Oh, I don't like that man. Rishi Sunak approved what?
Like a gross amount of budget for MPs to be able to be like driven home to wherever they live in the UK if they can't get home because of strike action. So that's on like taxpayers' money. We're chauffeuring the MPs to wherever they live in the UK. That's not just like we're sending them from Parliament to, you know, fucking Westminster or Mayfair. That's whatever constituency they live in.
He doesn't want to be Prime Minister, does he? There's already calls for him to resign.
Are there?
I don't want to be stuck with Keir Starmer. I'm dreading to think what he's going to do next.
Is he on the list? Is that...
No, I wasn't going to mention him. Let's
just move on. Basically, this country is
that it has been bad.
It's been bad for a while, and it's probably going to get worse. It's 2023 is not going to be super great.
Yeah, I just can't. But like when I shop and buy things, I just can't believe the price. Because the thing is, it's like the individual things don't seem that expensive. Does that make sense? But when
you add them up,
I literally have started doing this thing where I just think, how many items did I get? What's the average cost per item? And I'm like, what? It's like you can't go to like a local supermarket and not spend £10, even if you just want 3 or 4 things. Yeah. It's so expensive. Anyway, shout out to Morrison's. Love you guys. My new favourite supermarket. You know I'm fickle. I'll be changing my mind soon. I'll shout out to Lidl. They're still the cheapest. I just can't drive still. So, okay. So just something to touch on. This is a touch.
This is a light touch and kind of related to what we've just been talking about, I guess.
Yeah.
So it deserves a mention.
The crypto crash. Something that made me giggle.
I feel like I need my glasses on, guys.
Yeah. Oh my God, I found my glasses.
They're nice. I like them.
You wouldn't believe where they were, but I won't say on air because I'd be embarrassed. So, for example, Bitcoin was worth a quarter of what it was before after they're calling it the crypto winter, which I don't think is catchy. I don't get why wouldn't you just call it the crypto crash?
Yeah, we love a bit of alliteration.
Really do.
Or is it because it's like freezing us out in the cold? I don't know.
They it's like a cold, so they obviously know what's going on. But I think all stock markets are like colds. I don't know what's going on. You guys tell me. But the funniest story I read was FTX, which was a company worth billions or maybe a billion. Oh, sorry, no. 32 billion.
Founded by children.
He was 30, so yes. I mean, in terms, I'm not saying he's a child, but I mean, in terms of like how much financial like knowledge, legislation, whatever. So yeah, at the start of 2022, it was worth 32 billion. Now it's bankrupt. More than 1 million people are worried that the money they put into it has vanished because there was over lockdown, there was a really big push for crypto. There was all sorts of crypto scams going on. Even celebrities, influencers have been sued because they became Forex traders, the classy one. Those people who are DMing you all the time like, hey, you want to become a FX trader? Leave me alone.
Okay, so from criminal fraud, we are going to go to women's rights. I don't want to say okay, obviously a lot of things happened this year in this sphere, but a lot of things happen every year. You guys do the most every year to assault women's basic rights. So, we're not surprised, but we're also, sad and please stop. Big news. We've definitely spoken about it on this
disclaimer.
podcast.
This one doesn't just affect women, but I just feel like
yes, I suppose women's rights don't never really just affect women. It's an incorrect umbrella term.
But we did our best.
Yeah. So
it's never good enough.
In the US,
this one's reproductive, right?
Has it? It didn't get overturned.
No.
There was another assault on Roe versus Wade and the right for a uterus owner to have safe access to abortion or termination of pregnancy, which this to me is just even before all of this happening, the fact that in the States it is not safe and legal abortion is not available to every single person who is able to become pregnant blows my mind, and we take it for granted so much in this country that this is something that is available to us readily and handled in my experience respectfully, and yeah, it's so silly that in the States a fetus, quote unquote, or even at the stage where it's not even a fetus, has more rights than the child that it would become once it's born. A gun has more rights than an unborn fetus. I don't even want to say that. I don't know what the correct term would be, but this is just ludicrous and dangerous.
Agree. I'm really glad that we're starting to have more conversations about children's rights, because children are treated like absolute crap the world over.
Yeah.
The majority of children are just abused. So
yeah. But that was that really sparked a lot of or reopened, well, not reopened, but reignited or brought to the global stage the issue of reproductive rights in the States, and the reality of what it is like to live as somebody who could get pregnant in the States, and that you are not supported, whether that is through an unwanted pregnancy. You could be criminalized. I think in like Texas, they even wanted to place bounties on people that were seeking terminations. So if you'd even helped somebody seek termination, whether that be you were a medical professional or just somebody that had like maybe driven somebody to go and get a termination, you would also be up for a criminal charges. What is going on? Like, is everyone okay? This is so stupid. They need to ratify Roe versus Wade into federal law yesterday. Like, not even yesterday. As soon, like, these kind of things should not be left up to states to decide. This is not a matter up for debate.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to say in my opinion. I mean, just that is the
general anywhere world over.
It is nobody else's business apart from the person and their doctor of what the best course of action is for you if you are pregnant and you find that you do not want to have this child for whatever reason. Doesn't even matter what the reason is. You don't need a reason beyond, well, you just don't need a reason. If that's what you've chosen to do, you should be able to do it, and you should be able to do it without fear of getting arrested or dying.
And while we're on the subject, like there's so many, because it really makes you think about, there's so many countries where even though you can technically have a terminated pregnancy, it's illegal.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's like, it really sparks conversations in this house where someone was telling me a story of someone they know and love who literally passed away having a termination. Do you know how crazy that is? It's just there are so many dangers in life. Why introduce more? You're blocking a medical procedure because of your own personal feelings about something that has nothing to do with you.
Especially when you just simply aren't even going to provide the infrastructure to help that person, to help a parent.
That's the thing. Children are treated like
bring a child up and give them the best possible start in life.
It's like, why are you bringing, like, even people who want to have children don't treat their children well. Anyway. And I've seen so many things. People are always talking about they're building, they're making sacks so that to beat the low birth rate. I'm like, there are so many children all over the world who are not being cared for. Why don't we just start focusing on caring for the children who are having a horrible time right now?
And the discourse around, people like you have these young white conservative couples being like, we'll adopt your baby if you have it. Like, we do think about, there are plenty of babies you could adopt, actually. The thing is, no one's going to give you a baby in their right mind.
Because some of these people, and honestly, I've heard some horrible adoption stories as well.
Yeah.
This shout out to TikTok. One thing TikTok has shown me is just like people who had been either fostered or adopted, like real stories. I can't believe people will go out of their way to take care of a child and treat them like that.
Yeah.
Not even because foster care, yes, but adoption, it's like you don't get paid by the state for that.
No, you've chosen to do that.
You've chosen to bring this child into your home and torment them. That's sick.
Yeah. Pretty clear where we stand on this topic. So.
Oh, sorry, I'm pro open. Yeah, I'm pro choice, but also open, like opening your home up to other people's like family. I feel like.
Oh yeah, pro adoption. Yeah, for sure. Pro adoption, fostering, everything. Yeah, but exactly.
I also feel like child abuse, man, not for me. Sorry, I'll let you.
Rampant. And then next up, and again, guys, as we said at the beginning of this podcast, obviously there's plenty of things that have happened in terms of women's rights, LGBTQ plus rights. So this isn't exhausted. But one thing that we haven't discussed at all on this podcast is what is happening in Iran at the moment, which all started with the death of Masa Amini. So she was a 22-year-old woman who was arrested by the morality police, which just in and of itself is insane. Doesn't make sense. Morality police. So who are you to decide what morality means? Yeah, shut up. And that was in Tehran in September because she violated the strict rules about wearing a hijab or a headscarf. So the rules are that you would have to cover up all of your hair because, of course, any scrap of hair showing is a distraction to men and they won't be able to function. So you really need to be covered up completely. And I think she had just not, she was wearing a headscarf. She wasn't not, but just she had some hair out and they arrested her and beat her so severely that she then had a heart attack, and I think she died in hospital. But like horrific. So this sparked off a national and then a global protest about a woman's, reignited the argument for a woman's right to choose on the in this case on the headscarf hijab matter, but also just in general,
it became
a woman's right
to just
to have rights
and choose, make daily decisions for themselves. And then it also became about overthrowing a fascist government.
And so the morality police responded in kind by arresting protesters, and then they began executing them. Guys, we're not doing a deep dive on this. We haven't really even touched the sides of the facts on this. So you probably know more detail about it than we're giving here. We're just highlighting. It would be remiss of us to not say anything about this, because it's
and it's ongoing as well to this day,
and not enough. I don't feel like there's been an adequate response by
Why would
anybody.
there be when everyone's talking about a bloody slap? Ridiculous. You can just see how ridiculous that is. I'm so glad we started with that, because as we go down the list
we reveal more and more about how this country, this world is just to its core rotten,
and it doesn't have to be this way
on the small things.
But shout out to everybody who puts their literal life on the line for freedom. It's crazy when you think about it. So back to the UK. So the police have been up to their usual nonsense this year. And I just wanted to highlight two stories that, again, we didn't speak about. I feel like this year more than ever, you may not have noticed, but we really just, we were dodging subjects because we were trying to keep it light, because not saying we don't appreciate listeners, but more for ourselves, because it's just like, it's been a lot. But I just wanted to talk about the Chris Carver case, which is when the British police, so even though typically police in Britain aren't armed, there are some squads that carry firearms. He was 24 years old and he was shot. And to get obviously, as always, we're going to put a link to an article which covers the exact timeline perfectly. But just when it actually happened, again, I was in Nigeria, but to even get the inquest started, there had to be public outcry. And there was an actual protest of the police after his shooting. And, they used it on the news and said that it was more the Queen's mourners. Literally, it was that's just this country is ridiculous. But he was this made me so sad. 24-year-old father to be. The car he was driving So there's those who don't know, the police have a system where they can just like obviously run your plates, and that's how they check different cars. And I've heard stories from other men who've driven around London where it's like, I've heard one from someone who I know really well who was saying that he's been pulled over and they said that they've run his plates and da-da-da. And obviously he's like, what are you talking about? He's obviously a black man. And it's just like, there were no sirens, and they shot. Like, I want to know
Unmarked car, right?
Yeah, from you driving after this car, how did it end with you shooting him? Because I'm almost certain, like 95% certain, there was a bullet hole in the windscreen. So it's like they've shot him through the windscreen. That's murder.
Yeah, cold-blooded.
That's murder. You cannot just drive up and shoot someone. And this is such a small detail of this case, but this is something that I find so sick. His family said his Rolex were missing.
Oh, I bet it fucking was.
Do you know how weird, like, and obviously no one's seen it, but it's just like, what? And what really, really was like another dig was that, sorry, I just want to actually find the actual fact, so I'm not just saying it. So the officer was suspended who actually did the shooting. And the firearms officers in his squad, which is the SCO 19 squad, threatened to strike because he was suspended. The officer who shot him, was suspended. And I was just like, yuck, 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 yuck. And the second case, this is one where
yeah.
I hate this case so much.
Horrible.
So this was the case, I'm sure you've heard because it was all over the news, a child Q. So this was a 15-year-old black schoolgirl who was strip searched while at school after being wrongly suspected of carrying cannabis. There was no adult present. She was
cannabis, guys, come on.
And I'm pretty sure, again, it was like she was writing an exam and the teacher said she could smell weed. So they two police officers strip searched this girl. Her parents were not informed. And during the search...
no like chaperone no, from the school or anything.
Nothing.
Nobody that she would have known.
No one.
Not that would have been much comfort. But
that is common sense. How can you, as a child's caretaker, leave them with two adults to be searched? And I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if I've ever spoke about this. But I hate being searched. I hate it. I find it so triggering. I get really emotional. I don't like people touching me. They always put their hands down your trousers and stuff. It's disgusting. I hate it. So they during the search, her intimate body, this is a 15-year-old girl, her intimate body parts were exposed and she was made to take off her sanitary towel. And then after this, it just came to light, like how often the police are strip searching children. And I'm just so glad people are talking about this because there's just such a dehumanization, especially with black children, where it's just like, then people get labeled criminal, drug dealer, this, that. That is a child.
It's also, I hesitate to mention this because it actually, in how gross this was, it doesn't really matter. But of course, no drugs were found on her.
No, they never are. Like that. And the thing is, even this whole smells of weed, sweetheart, people just need to get, everyone at some point will smell of weed. Everyone smokes constantly everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I could walk down the road and smell of weed.
Yeah. And not just that. So many things smell like weed that aren't weed. I'm sorry, you Wiz Khalifa, you can smell it. Please
Why
be
do
serious.
you know what weed smells like?
Knob end. Smells like weed. Ugh. And not telling her parents. So you strip searched somebody, sent them home, and you're not going to tell me my child was strip searched. That's so on your period at that age. That's even now I would find that so humiliating.
At any age humiliating. When you're 15, you don't know what's going on. You are on your period, and it's like this isn't the early doors of you even having a period.
Well, I started mine when I was 9.
Yeah,
but that's not the point.
In the grand context of how long you have your period and when you're adolescent, where regardless of whether you start it earlier or not, that is still like having your period at school is
embarrassing
horrific.
Enough.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of an exam now. You're naked.
This is like sexual abuse.
I think that's sexual abuse.
It is.
Because the feelings that it triggers are exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I would also go as far as to say there is no possible reason anyone should, even if she was an adult, asking a child to remove a sanitary towel. Can you hear yourself? Can you hear yourself?
It is not up to a police person to do a strip search like that. That is for a medical professional. You want to do something like that? Get a fucking nurse in. Get a doctor in.
Then. No, off the strength. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's like not in their remit. They definitely don't have the training. Definitely.
Yeah, you cannot do this. This is not for you to do.
Anything could have happened to her. And obviously it's had a huge effect on her mental health, as it would.
Yeah.
And it's the fact for me, they didn't even say anything to her parents. So they wouldn't have known. What if she just was traumatized and never said anything?
Yeah.
Sick. Oh, there is no way to segue that. I just want to say that's fucking sick. And even honestly, when I was making the notes for this, I was just tearing up because I was just like, oh, God. And the statistics around how many child strip searches that are done.
Yeah. It's not a one-off case. It's just the one that's actually made it through.
Because it was so bad. Oh.
Well, there is no way to segue into this, so we'll just have to do it.
This is something we don't know about. We're just going to give our little sprinkle.
We just have to say, and we'll do it really quickly because we've been talking for a long time. Yeah, sports. Big year for Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham hosted the Commonwealth Games. Please change the name. You know they do a royal family propaganda at the beginning. I went to the opening ceremony, but I'll let them have it. It's so weird because it's like the institution does this propaganda, but then the organisers of the show are obviously like to the opening ceremony. They're obviously artists, and artists tend to be political people. So they're talking about how these represent the women who built the chains that locked the chains that were made for African people who were enslaved were made in Birmingham by women who were maimed while making the thing, who had no rights, weren't allowed to sleep, who protested. I'm like, the whole place is rotten. But it's just like, but here's the Queen. It's just like, okay. Anyway, I went to the Commonwealth Games with my father, who had tickets because he's the goat with getting the old tickets. He loves a ticket. And the highlight for me, I saw Elaine Thompson-Herah, who, if you don't know, is a Jamaican sprinter, win 100 meters. And I was shocked because I didn't even know that race was on. I was like, I never, honestly, if you told me a week ago, I was going to be, I was like, wait, what? It was crazy. I can actually now say I've seen her run, which is cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to do football?
Next up, okay.
We're
putting this on here because we just kind of have to, it's sort of ridiculous when you consider how much, like, we got full on Euro fever.
Yeah, but know how we haven't watched it since.
That's what I mean. In 2021, Euro fever, we went mad for it. Maybe it was because we were still sort of semi cooped up in the house, and we went crazy for it. And yet this year, women's football, didn't watch it, didn't really know it was on. But the Lionesses, the British team, they won. They brought it home.
Yeah, they won the World Cup, which is actually amazing.
Was it the World Cup? Or was it the Euro?
Yeah. It was the World Cup. This is one thing I didn't fact check.
It would make sense if it was the World Cup because we had the World Cup for the... Oh, my God. Yeah, why wouldn't the women's football Euros be in the same year as the men's Euros?
No, the women won the World Cup. It was lit.
Okay. Well, then that's even bigger news. Jesus Christ.
It was huge.
That's so embarrassing that we just, anyway, so good on them. Well done, Lionesses. Woo, you brought football home.
Yeah. And then
for men's football, that went to Argentina.
Yeah, but Messi won his first World Cup, which is lit for him.
And potentially his last.
Yeah, definitely he's last. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore. If I don't win this,
then it's over for me. Yeah.
Do you know what I didn't know about him? He's actually said that before in international football. He took a break, and I respect it. He was like, "This is driving me mad. I'm not doing this.
Tired. I'm tired.
not doing this." But the real winner of the World Cup for me was Mbappe.
I was going to say Morocco because they really. Who knew?
Look at me.
And Costa Rica.
Mbappe's African everywhere. Let's be real. The French team is a very African team. Arguably the most African team outside of the African teams. More African than some of the African teams. So that's a joke. That one's a joke. I'm just being spicy. So shout out to Morocco for getting to the quarterfinals. Sorry we couldn't give you any more facts for the women's.
Costa Rica.
What happened?
They got to the quarterfinal. They played out for the bronze medal.
No, they didn't. Did they? I don't. Honey,
was it Brazil? Sorry, it was Brazil.
No.
Brazil got to the semis as well, right? Brazil was up against Costa Rica. Oh my God, I don't even know.
That's not. I thought it was like Cyprus or someone.
No, it wasn't. Definitely wasn't.
This is the one thing we didn't research. We're trying to deep dive.
Yeah.
Morocco's World Cup. Croatia, not Costa Rica. Okay, yeah. Costa Rica.
Okay, yeah, not at all.
I'm not going to lie. What did I say? Cyprus.
That's it's closer geographically.
They're both amazing holidays.
So is Costa Rica, in my defense, and begins with a C.
Oh my God, look at us. We're like travel agents.
God.
That's football.
But Croatia as well. I guess it's pretty big for them to get to.
No, I feel like, yes. But I feel like Croatia have had a few moments like that before.
Okay, but for Morocco, this was.
Morocco was a big deal because they're the first African team to go that far, which just says everything you need to know about.
Jesus, sorry. Can I just say, I apologize that we just were like, so the Lionesses won the Euros, the World Cup, whatever, women's football. Let's talk about men. I didn't even watch barely any, I watched one.
I genuinely don't think we should say women's football. I feel like we should just call it football. And say they won the World Cup.
Team.
The Lionesses. I don't even like the Lionesses. Yeah. If somebody called me a Lioness, I'd be like, please be serious. But Lionesses are stronger than Lions. Everybody knows that they do all the work. But yeah.
It's just,
can't say, I don't really care about football anymore, but I do care about Mbappe.
Okay, right. Anything else in sport? Okay, do you want to cover?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Toby Amasan, who is a Nigerian sprinter who won the 100 meter hurdles in the World Championships, but actually broke the world record. Fun fact that I read today. She broke the world record before the semi-finals, which is the record that holds, but in a quicker time. But because of this is a real nerd fact. I did not know this. The wind speed, there is a wind speed rule. So if the wind speed is at a certain, if the wind is at a certain speed, that's how you speak English.
In your direction, pushing you forward because it's giving you momentum, or in the other way because that's giving resistance.
I would have thought so. But I wonder if they have, because you can't work it out so precisely. I wonder if the wind gets over a certain speed, they just say no.
But they've got to take in direction of wind into account, because if you're going into it, then that's even more impressive.
But let's say unless it's coming directly at you or from the front quarter.
I think unless the wind is coming directly behind you to give you a bit more momentum.
What if it's hitting your shoulder?
Yeah, that's also going to throw you off. If you break the world record there, come on.
No, that can help. If one side of you, every time you run, it's like...
No, because it could also be twisting you and giving you torque, which could then drag your foot.
When you're sprinting, so your core is aligned, but your body does twist.
Sorry, are we talking about hurdling or sprinting?
Hurdling is sprinting.
Well, yeah, it is and it isn't. Like, you're also jumping over. Come on.
That leg kick does it. Anyway, we don't know the rules, but this is like a really fun conversation for me, because I did not know this. But yeah,
let's move on to health real quick.
This is about us.
Yeah. So the beginning of the year, can we just say this is also just so weird to think about. But at the beginning of 2022, we were still in some form of lockdown. We were still in tier 4 because of fucking Omicron.
Was that this year?
Yeah.
I caught Omicron. That was the first time I caught COVID.
Do you know it was Omicron? Or do you just know it was COVID?
Do you know why I think it was Omicron?
I know that bitch.
Because I was fully vaccinated and I feel like I went somewhere that was a spiked place.
Oh, a
hotspot. I feel like that's what happened.
Okay.
Everywhere was a hotspot.
Fair enough.
But it was so funny because, I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything for all these years. I'm in the house and then I get COVID. I was like, how? At one time. And I was fully vaccinated. So it just made me think it had to be Omicron.
I still don't know if I've had it or not. I could have had it and just not tested for it. So
I had symptoms, baby.
Who knows? There's been times where I've had symptoms, but it's like I'm not doing anything. And tests aren't as easy to come by these days,
Yeah, no, I was resting. I was being fed. The food was being left outside my room like I was a prisoner. It was quite fun. Yeah.
Next on the list is monkeypox, mpox.
Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox.
I don't really...
I have nothing to say. I just wanted to acknowledge that it happened and it's still happening.
Yeah. Let's leave it there because we don't know enough about it. Although I do know my mum talks about it a fair amount.
So it is an ongoing issue.
Yeah. And also a real quick one for me. So I haven't had COVID, but I do want to celebrate this. It might be too much information for some of you, but you need to fucking grow up and get serious because this is this is cervical
you
owners.
will hear about my vaginal health.
You're going to know about my cervix. Guys, I got my text message. You are due for your smear test. You know what I did? I booked it straight away. Part of that was because I needed to go to the GP anyway to drop some papers off to my sister. And I was just there. So I was like, hey, do you know what? Actually, no, I said to the woman, hey, I need to book a smear test. So I guess I can do it online. And she was like, we can do it right now if you want.
I love that.
And I was like, okay. But if she hadn't done that, I would have been like, I'll just go away. And you know what? So I can't let's not give me too many props. There were a series of circumstances. If it hadn't been for my sister needing me to drop, but the point is, got the text message, booked the test, did the test. The woman was like, the nurse was like, I'm loving your energy, your vibe coming into this. You just seem really chilled out. Like, this is great. And I was like, do you know what? I feel good because I've booked this straight away. Unlike the last time I had a smear test where I waited about 3 years and was late to have it. And I've also had an IUD fitted. So I think I can handle this. Did it. Got my letter through. Said, you don't have HPV. And I was like, wait, that's what you were testing for? I thought you were testing for abnormal cells. What? But okay, cool. So that's my little health update for you all.
We don't know what it's for, but we know it's important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew that I thought that they were testing for abnormal cells, not for HPV, which I guess is a precursor to cervical cancer.
Yeah.
Cervical cancer.
And guys, please book your smear test.
Oh my God. If you get the message, book it. If you get a text message for a prostate exam, for anything, just do it. Just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off, especially if you live in this country where we are blessed to have these kind of services provided to us for free at the point of service. Do it. Anyway.
This is a bit sad, and I wasn't actually going to mention this, but someone who I went to university with, actually, we didn't go to the exact same uni. She was much more creative than I, and she went to the College of Art, but she actually passed away this year from cervical cancer.
Oh God.
Yeah. So rest in peace to Alice Eaton, because she was so fucking kind. Yeah. She was very young as well. I think she's like a year younger than me.
That is very young.
This year, we finally left the country, but we've kind of touched on it. But do you want to?
Oh yeah, because we were for the Queen's death. Yeah, so I left the country for the first time since 2019. That trip that I went on in 2019 was with a guy that I was kind of friends with, seeing, not like a bit of a mess. Probably shouldn't have gone on that trip, but hey, we live and learn.
Oh, we shouldn't say that because it's featured on my album if it ever comes out.
Cool. And I went to Portugal in September. It was touch and go if I was even going to go because of my dogs and my sister's dogs' health issues, which meant we had to push it back. But we did go and it was great and I bloody loved it.
Amazing.
Would recommend go to Portugal.
I've never been, and I do need to go because I was just doing this alphabet thing, and I've never been to a country that starts with P that I know of. No, I've been to Poland. My bad. I just don't know how to spell or something.
You're like, no, I don't need to go to Portugal.
No, forget it. It's
I'd happily go again.
Yeah, I'd like to go. Yeah, I also left the country. I went to a wedding in Sardinia, which is so not like me to actually want to go to a wedding, but I could not wait to get to that wedding.
Destination wedding, no less.
I don't like weddings, if I'm being honest. I hate weddings. Sorry. But you know what? Apparently I love Nigerian weddings. Like, if you're not West African, I'm sorry, but I'm not. The fact that I've stood by that is so bad. Oh. But anyway, it was an amazing, beautiful wedding. But to be honest, I didn't just go because she was West African. I went because she's an incredible person and she's so sweet. She's so kind. And I've known her for years and years and years. She's a family friend. And I just was funny to see her get married. It was nice. It was fun.
Mm.
But yeah, and then I went to Nigeria for my grandmother's funeral. But as I said, it was enjoyable. And I realised I wasn't depressed because even in mourning, I felt 20 times better than I do right now. So
it's just this country that
oh my God, I
tried. Depressed.
Yeah, I was really trying to fight it when I got back, but it got me. It's relentless. This country is, I'm not saying this country is harder than Nigeria, guys. If you're listening from another country, I know you're getting pissed off. I'm not saying that. I understand. But me and my cousin were talking about this while I was there, because obviously she went to university here and she's traveled here a lot. Like, even though she's grown up in Nigeria, like, we grew up together. I saw her all the time. So we were talking about it, and she was like telling me how people are always like, why did you come back to Nigeria? And she was just describing that it's basically like she's the loneliness and depression of England. She just couldn't. It was like, I'm so depressed. Why am I doing this? And I completely get it. And now she's like happy. She's just got an amazing job, even though they're working her to the bone. She's got 2 beautiful babies, one of whom kind of looks like me. And, you know, narcissist Ruth was like, yeah. And so, yeah, I feel like she's also my niece. And then my niece this year, thriving, smart, beautiful, intelligent, hilarious, fashion icon.
Tick, tick, ticks. Turns across the board.
Yeah. Adore her.
So, listen, I think we're going to have to do some on-the-fly culling of this list because we've been
I think we should just drill I thought we were on Fuckboys of 2022. Oh, we can drill this one. It's climate change. It was the hottest day of the year ever, and it was like hottest day on record in England. So yeah.
Until this year, I'm sure.
Oh, it can't be. But yeah, it will be.
It will be.
It was unbearable.
This is just what it's like and every year it'll, like the end date, the end year of when the world will implode is going to start getting gradually closer and closer.
So, and we're going to start seeing the rising sea levels are going to start affecting the islands. It's just not fair. We need
which we are one of. They won't affect us as badly. No, not in the tropics, but it's coming for us. The rising sea levels.
I was going to say not an island I care about, but I don't know why I was going to say that. That's not okay. Yeah, sorry,
the
guys.
one we live on. I don't want to.
No, I know, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just not in a good place, and this country is driving me mad. It's so expensive. Just make it affordable, for God's sake. But
okay.
Which brings us to
finally, not finally. Well, kind of finally, almost.
Yeah.
Fuckboys of 2022. Do you want to do a lightning round?
Okay, yeah. This is said with a pinch of salt disclaimer because we know that these people aren't fuckboys. They are technically like right-wing leaders. For the sake of the podcast, we're calling them fuckboys. Yeah. So I think we should go one by one. I'll do the first. Speaking of climate change, Greta Thunberg took down Andrew Tate in a surprise arrest. He's been arrested for human trafficking, which I cannot believe. I knew he had a few open cases of abuse in America, but human trafficking. God, he's really living up to his own misogynistic standards, because that is wild. Yeah. But yeah, R.I.P.
And shout out to Sherry's Pizza.
Give me that. Yeah, Pizzagate.
And the Romanian police for cracking that case.
Yeah, so quickly. Well done. Look at the police doing something helpful.
Next on, we've got Elon Musk. So I don't know if it went this year, but he asked how much is it going to cost to end world hunger, because I can do it, I can pay it. A figure was given.
No, he was being facetious, I think. He was like, I bet you couldn't actually give me a number.
Yeah. Was it like the World Economic Forum? I don't know who, but somebody was like, well, we can and we have and we will. It's not even like, okay, it's a lot of money, but when you look at, for a billionaire, it's actually not. It's like, I don't know, 44 billion or something like that. I say that only cheaper. Because
I thought that's how much Twitter cost.
How much Twitter cost, yeah.
I think it was way cheaper.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was it would have been infinitely affordable for Elon Musk to end world hunger many, many times over, I believe. Many times over. But he bought Twitter instead. Of course he did. And then he ran it into the ground, and Twitter has become absolute carnage. But what we do love, we've spoken about it before, in his infinite stupidity, the introduction of paid for blue ticks, meaning anybody could just get a blue tick if you had $8. So the parody accounts were just perfection. There's a lot of funny people out there, and you need to give yourselves a pat on the back.
Most of them are on Twitter.
Yeah. Next.
To connect it, he lost a bigger fortune than anyone in history, 200 billion, which I can't even fathom that amount of money, because it's just, I can't, I'm sorry.
And for him to still be like absolutely fine.
He's fine.
Yeah, he still has money. He still has billions.
But I do think he's it's not looking good. But another billionaire who lost a lot of money was Kanye West, who this year harassed his ex-wife and new boyfriend, made White Lives Matter t-shirts, and went on many anti-Semitic, he went on an anti-Semitic rhetoric tour. And according to him, I don't trust his word. According to other sources, he lost $1 billion, but according to him, he lost $2 billion in one day. Yeah. So yeah.
And then we go on to one of Kanye's good friends, Trump. No surprises why he's on the list. But just to name a few things. So he got searched by the FBI, and this is when the right-wing party decided that actually police weren't so good when they're the ones being searched.
The FBI
we don't like police anymore. You guys are corrupt. So apparently blue lives don't matter anymore when you're the ones that are under fire. He was ordered to appear, this is a biggie, before the Congressional Committee investigating last year's Capitol riot.
Yeah. That's crazy. I wonder how that's going to end, but any time will tell.
The Trump organization was found guilty on all counts of criminal tax fraud. No surprises there. Well, actually, it's a surprise that he was found guilty. And then a $250 million civil lawsuit from the New York Attorney General was filed, alleging that he and his adult children were involved in a decade-long fraud.
Fun. See you next year, Trump. Can't wait to see if you end up in prison.
Yeah.
On to a more successful dictator. And this is not me trying to make a joke of this, but it has to be said, who also allegedly helped put him in office. Vladimir Putin, who this year has launched a war. Russia invaded the Ukraine. And if you guys haven't been seeing, very, very, very recently, the damage to the infrastructure is getting very, very, very bad. Yeah. I would say it's escalating. Yeah.
It is.
And there's a lot of propaganda out there.
Targeting civilian buildings now. It's just real horrible, dirty tactics. And, if I don't know a huge amount about it, but like Russia has, I believe Russia has conscription. So, it's not like these,
it's not optional.
These, a lot of them, I would say, are kids, because they are really like young men and women. I don't know. In Russia,
men
being conscripted into the army, and a lot of them. Again, I don't know. I'm possibly speaking out of turn, but going to fight a war that they don't necessarily believe in. Maybe they even have family that are in the Ukraine. But then a lot of them have also been have been brainwashed as well. And because there's not the media that can get through, so their view of what's happening is very one-sided.
Even here, there is a lot of propaganda on YouTube, on TikTok, that is saying that the war in the Ukraine isn't that bad, as comes with every war for some reason. A lot of pro-Putin things about saying how West Europe is just trying to take him down. There are loads of countries out there who are just as shady, including the one I'm sitting in right now. And I don't disagree, but that doesn't justify innocent people who are just trying to live life. Yeah, and I just feel like we're all just trying to live life and get on with it. What a waste of life.
Okay, the next two, I think you're going to have to cover.
Okay, Tory Lanez finally went to jail. Boop. Sorry. Boop. One more time. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but he was found guilty on all charges. Felony count each of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, personal use of a firearm, and carrying a loaded gun and registered firearm in a vehicle. And he's technically not of that nation. He's Canadian. He was in America with an illegal firearm. He was always going to get, do you know what I mean? Like you can't, that's illegal. I know it's a very gun-heavy country, so people forget, but you cannot just have an illegal firearm. And this is honestly the first time I've truly been abolish prisons, but send Tory Lanez to jail, because it was too much. And I just feel like a lot of men are really getting what they're asking for. He tormented that woman. He tormented Meg Thee Stallion. He knew that people would jump on board with it because she was a Black woman, and he humiliated her on several occasions. So I hope you can think about that while you're in prison. Disgusting behavior. On top of the fact that you actually did it. So there you go. Yeah, and lastly, I feel like more justice. Alex Jones, who is a far-right conspiracy theorist, was ordered by a court in Connecticut to pay nearly $1.5 billion in damages to the families of victims of the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School mass shooting for the years he spent spreading lies about the incident on his show, InfoWars. And just to tie that back into the Tory Lanez case, there was a blog in particular that I've mentioned. I don't know if I've ever said it on this podcast, that I cannot stand. It's called No Jumper. I'm tired of these so-called hip hop blogs. That's what they are, guys, and they're white supremacist organizations that peddle out misinformation, and they do it in a light-hearted way. No, some of you need to pay attention to what's going on. You cannot do that. Good luck with that lawsuit. And yes, I said No Jumper is white supremacist. I genuinely believe it's one of those that I would mark as right-wing pipeline. Okay, finally, onto those we lost. To be honest, I made a massive list, but I only have a few that I want to say something, so you can say. Okay. So then we lost a lot of people this year. So we just want to say rest in peace to Pele, Jamal Edwards, Andre Leon Talley, Vivienne Westwood, Icon, Thierry Mugler, and our favourite pop star, Darius, who we cannot believe that he died really young, this year. Yeah. Cindy Portier, and the Foo Fighters drummer, Taylor Hawkins, which was shocking. And one of the situations where you realise very talented. Just don't think about it. And Meatloaf, and obviously for me, there's so many people who died this year, guys. June Brown, who played Dot Cotton in EastEnders. And Takeoff died as well. Rest in peace. But yeah, do you want to say anybody? Or is that?
No, I'm good with that.
So many people have passed, but yeah, these are just, and in music, Beyonce brought out an album which I feel changed music SZA brought out her album, and Taylor Swift, who I just, I don't usually shout out the Caucasian ladies because I feel like sometimes you guys bully me and my people. But Taylor Swift, what you did in the charts this year,
yeah, you've got to give snaps for that.
I love to see it. Honestly, just because the charts are still so male dominated. You wouldn't believe it. So shout out to her.
And also just the shit that she has to go, she is dealing with just to own her own music.
No, look what she did.
Exactly.
The albums that she recorded went to #1. That's also a game changer. These things impact everyone's
Taylor's
decisions.
versions of things. So albums that people already know and have, people just really got behind, the girl Taylor.
It was symbolic because the guy who did it to her, it's a typical story. A man in the music industry does this and that. And I hope Megan Thee Stallion is also trying to get away from her record label. She's had a victory already. I just feel like people are still stuck in the past with these antiquated things. They think they could use the same oppressive tools. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say about the year. Wow. That took us 2 hours.
Sorry,
what year?
We've talked a lot.
This is the most we've ever talked.
Yeah.
I hate giving my opinions on things.
And yet we did. But I think we should end it there.
Okay, you don't want to do this year's personal reflection. I feel like you'll regret it. Yeah, okay, next year you'll be like, I wish we did.
Okay, fine. Guys, we'll continue with our tradition of giving ourselves a personal reflection and some kind words for ourselves and a moment to think about what we may want to manifest or take forward into this new year, 2023. But before we do that, we have to just go back and listen to what we said last year. So let's do that.
Okay.
Okay. Wow, this feels so meta, like I'm commenting on what I was thinking about last year, commenting on what I was thinking about in 2020. But I think there's definitely
we should just
progression.
Okay.
From the years that have passed. So, based on what I was saying last year about how it's time to open up. I definitely, I didn't do that at all for 11 and a half months. But as you guys well know, if you've been following along, at the 11th hour of last year in December, I was like, you know what, screw this. Let's get on the apps. Let's go on some dates. Let's just talk to some people and let's not be so scared about it. And you don't need to take things personally if, people don't want to meet up with you, because there's plenty of people that you also don't want to meet up with. And it's definitely not personal definitely sometimes it is very personal to them and the way that they've behaved. But a lot of the time it's just because, you are a bit tired. You can't be bothered messaging somebody back, whatever. It's not anything that I need to worry about if I receive the same treatment. Even if I meet up with people and they decide they don't want to, whatever. I am super proud of myself for taking these steps. God knows that in a couple of weeks, I will probably be right back in the shell, because what I'm seeing out there is, as I predicted, just terrible. A lot of the things that people are saying, I can't believe that I can't believe that it happens, and I know that I shouldn't be surprised, but I still am, because sometimes I just think, what is going? How?
No, it's a bit wild. It's like being in a sketch show.
Yes, it's very much giving sketch show. But that's the good news. I'm out there, and let's see how long I stay out there and how successful it is, whether I actually meet up with that many people. So far I've met up with 2 people, so that's pretty good. That's good for me. So for this year, just continue being, or try to be a little bit more open, have fun, don't take things personally, and get yourself out of this country more. Get yourself out of the city
Oh,
more.
amen.
Just, live your life.
Amen.
Have some fun. Do it. That's it. That's all I got. You?
Guys, we just want to say we're having loads of technical issues. We're not even sure what's being recorded, just in case. I basically don't really have much to add. We just want to say that we will be taking a longer break than usual. We usually take a 6-week break, but this time it's going to be longer. We're not sure how long. But we will see you later this year, and stay
some point.
safe. Yeah, stay safe. We'll definitely come back though, don't worry. It's not like one of those things where we're like, we'll be back, we're not sure when, and then we never come back, because I've seen that happen and it pisses me off. I'm like, at least come back to say you're not coming back.
Exactly.
Sorry guys, I have issues. Okay, bye.
And you can always follow us on Instagram, where we post silly memes. That's it. Bye.
And then I said to them, if you don't rewind this tape right now, I'm gonna...